Today on Design, Build, and Fix, we're going to show you how to uninstall a dishwasher so you can remodel your kitchen. There's going to be many videos coming out here shortly that's going to show you a step-by-step process on how to remodel a kitchen. And remember, if you like the content, help me out, subscribe to the channel. Alright, so let's jump right into the video. Alright, so here we are with the removal of the dishwasher. Here I am laying on the floor. First thing you have to do is come on over here to the bottom. You got to take that screw out, and there's another screw on the other end. Got to take that screw out. That will allow you to have this thing pull off. The next thing that has to happen is you have to open the door, and once the door is open, right there's a screw there that has to come out, and a screw there that has to come out. That is the anti-tip for the dishwasher, so when the door is open, the whole dishwasher doesn't tip forward and fall on somebody and get hurt. So those 4 screws have to come out. Once those 4 screws are out, then it's possible for us to slide this thing out, and we should be able to disconnect everything that we need from there. So in the process of taking this dishwasher out, you can see that the insulation is getting caught on the underside of that countertop, and we're going to reuse this dishwasher, so we want to make sure that insulation stays intact. So in order to do that, we have to lower this dishwasher down, and that's done by, on the bottom here, you'll see that there are leveling feet. There's one on this side, and there's one over there. So we have to lower this thing down. So grab yourself a crescent wrench or an open-end wrench and lower this thing down. Once I've lowered that side, I'm going to come on over here to this side and lower this side down. I'm going to have to pull this back into place once it's out, but that looks like that's going to, there it goes. So, all set. Now we can just pull this out and make our connection, disconnect from the back. So here we are behind the dishwasher. One thing to keep in mind, if a dishwasher was properly installed, you should have the ability to pull it almost all the way out and have the ability to work behind it in order to work on the connections. Now there's three connections. One is the power, which is this one here. We have our water supply line. We'll show you how that connects or disconnects. Now one of the things to look at, as you can see right there, it pops through the floor right there. Sometimes it is connected in the sink, under the sink. Sometimes it pops through the floor in the back, sometimes in the middle. But we'll have to show you how to get that disconnected. But the one thing we want to disconnect right now is the drain line. And this drain line, to get that disconnected, all you have to do is squeeze this, move it to the side, and then this slides off. A little bit more water still left in there, as you saw that come out. All right, so in this situation, it looks like this drain line was actually an extension. And they're not always going to be like that. There's going to be a couple other different scenarios that you're going to have to, or could possibly come into play. And let me show you what those other 2 scenarios are. All right, if you're just uninstalling a dishwasher because you purchased another one, all you really have to do is right in the front, just unscrew that bolt right there and disconnect the drain line right there, and the dishwasher should come out as far as your drain line goes. Now, if you're disconnecting your dishwasher because you're remodeling your kitchen, I would do 2 things. Yes, I would disconnect it here because that's going to allow that dishwasher to slide out easily, and then you have to remove the hose. So that means you're going to have to disconnect the opposite end of that hose, and that's going to be found probably attached to your garbage disposal underneath your sink. So you're going to come in here and you're fine. Well, there's the garbage disposal there. All you have to do is unloosen that nut and bolt, actually just that bolt, and then you can fish that water discharge hose out through the hole through the cabinet. We're going to move on to the power and the water supply line. All right, so here I am in the basement. I have good news, bad news, and more bad news. So let's get into this and show you what we got going. So I found the disconnect for the dishwasher right there. The good news is it has a shut-off valve, and it only controls the dishwasher. The bad news that I was talking about is the multi-turn, older style Sometimes when you turn it off, it shuts it off. Sometimes it almost shuts it off and it still trickles. One of the things that I found over the years of doing this is that if you turn it back and forth, on and off, sometimes it works out the gunk that builds up inside of those shutoffs and it shuts it off. So we're going to hope for the best on this one. So I got that worked in a little bit. Now, one other thing that we talked about, the bad news, the last part about the bad news is this fitting right here, kind of hard to see, but if you zoom in on it, and I can't because it's too close and too dark, this is cross-threaded on this. So that's why there's all that gunk on there. They did that to seal it up. There's a little bit more on the top. So unfortunately, once this comes off, we're probably going to have to replace this fitting in order for that not to leak again. Well, is what it is. All right, so the good news is that shutoff valve worked because no more water's coming out of there. And the only thing left to do now is to take this and push it through the floor, and our water has been disconnected. All right, so to disconnect the power for the dishwasher, it's going to be in that panel box right there. We're going to show you how to disconnect that here in a second. Okay, so now I'm at the back of the dishwasher, and I'm looking at the wire that feeds the box that I just showed you. Now, the reason I'm looking at this wire is because I want to see what size wire it actually is. And on the wire, I don't know if you can see that, but it reads 12-2. That means it's a 20 amp circuit. If it were to say 14-2, that'd be a 15 amp circuit. So when I go down to the circuit panel box in the basement, I want to make sure that I'm shutting off a 20 amp circuit. All right, so here's the panel box that we're looking for. And if a panel box is wired properly, you're going to have some sort of a piece of paper over here that tells you what circuit is what on here. Now this one's set up a little bit differently. They've been labeled here with stickers on each circuit, which is fine. There's a couple down here that aren't labeled. That one's, oh, it's labeled over there. But anyway, for the most part, they're all labeled. The one that we're looking for is a 20 amp that says dishwasher. And if I'm looking through it, oh, there's dishwasher, and it is a 20 amp. So technically, it is wired properly. In order for us to turn that off, I'm just going to turn it that way, and the power is supposed to be off for the dishwasher. Okay, so to disconnect the power for the dishwasher, it's going to be listed behind this panel. In order to take that panel off, we have to take that screw out right there. So I'm going to disconnect this screw. Then this panel cover comes off. It's going to expose the wires that you have. All right, so before you do anything with electrical, you're always going to make sure that the power is turned off, and you're definitely going to want to buy one of these testers. They're relatively inexpensive. There we go. They're relatively inexpensive. All you have to do is turn it on, it'll beep. Now it's ready. All right, so now that I've turned off the breaker on my dishwasher, I'm going to put my tester on it, make sure there's no sounds, and we're good. So now we can actually take this thing apart. So one of the things that you're going to want to do is disconnect the ground, which is going to be that screw right there. Once you disconnected the ground, you can take your wire nuts off, unwind these wires, and then this right here is your Romex connector. Hopefully you can see that. There's a screw on each side. You back those out, which causes the plate to drop down, and then you can actually pull those wires through. All right, so our last step in here in the disconnecting of our dishwasher is to make sure we have wire nuts on our wire that's popping through the floor. We already have our hot wire nut on. The black wire is going to be the hot. That one should have current on it. Well, technically it shouldn't have current on it because we disconnected it, but you never know. So we're going to put the wire nut on to be safe. We're going to put the wire nut back on the neutral, and no wire nut needed for the ground. All right, so now that you have removed the dishwasher drain line, the water supply line, and the electrical, it should slide right out. And as you can see, it has been removed. All right, well, thanks for watching another Design, Build, and Fix video. If you like the content, help me out and subscribe to the channel. More videos coming out shortly on this complete kitchen remodel. All right, hope to see you on the next one.